ब्रदर, भारत हर परिस्थिति में यूएई के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर खड़ा है और आगे भी खड़ा रहेगा.
F-16 fighter jets escorted the Indian Prime Minister as his aircraft entered the airspace of the United Arab Emirates. This is the same airspace where spotting missiles and drones became easier than birds and planes just days ago. The Iran war set the Middle East on fire, and Zayed Al Nahyan's Experience Abu Dhabi dream was one of the worst hit. After all, it isn't just a slogan to promote tourism. It is part of a larger Arab battle silently raging in the backdrop of diplomacy, military clashes and ego measuring.
There's a priority aspect to the India-UAE bilateral.
The Indian Prime Minister was welcomed by the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan at the presidential airport in Abu Dhabi with ceremony and pomp. The visuals were important. Right next door is Saudi Arabia, and India's close neighbor and long-term rival Pakistan must have been watching. Why? Well, days before Modi landed in Abu Dhabi, the UAE abruptly demanded the repayment of an almost $3.5 billion loan from Pakistan. The news was a surprise. After all, Islamabad had been long bankrolled by its Arab brothers, but in recent times, the Arab brothers themselves seem to be locked in a duel of sorts. For New Delhi, there is an opportunity.
Largely, I think this visit is about showing support to the UAE. UAE has faced the most number of drone and missiles attacks during this conflict than any other Gulf country.
As Abu Dhabi turned the screws on Islamabad, it was none other than Riyadh with the relief. Saudi Arabia reportedly stepped in to help out, offering $3 billion to boost Pakistan's foreign reserve. Well, all this happened even as the UAE announced its decision to quit OPEC, stunning the world. Days later, reports emerged that the UAE was firing Pakistanis and expelling workers. While Pakistani officials denied the reports of expulsions, which may number in thousands, the UAE has avoided the question entirely. And it all likelihood started with Islamabad trying to broker peace between the US and Iran. UAE was reportedly not happy with the soft condemnation of Iranian attacks on its soil. Both UAE and Saudi Arabia have been trying to pitch themselves as the hub of travel, culture, art and sports. But bombs dropping on fancy public squares are not great advertisements. It has now been confirmed that the UAE economy faced the biggest impact among Persian Gulf nations from Iranian strikes. As per publicly available reports, over 2,800 projectiles hit the UAE, including strikes on its key Fujairah oil hub. The resulting damage on infrastructure is estimated to be north of $60 billion. The crossfire also caused massive instability in the UAE stock market. But the competition between Saudi Arabia and the UAE goes beyond who gets to host the best boxing matches. Remember, Yemen turned out to be a key battleground. As Iran-backed Houthis started gaining power, the UAE and Saudi backed the Yemen government. However, they needed Pakistan. Islamabad has long helped the Arab nations carry out military operations in and around the territory. However, when the nations approached Pakistan for a Yemen operation, Pakistan refused. The Houthi rebels continued to gain power and influence, and eventually Saudi and UAE found themselves on opposite sides of the war. While neither supports the rebel Houthi, Saudi continues to back the government, while UAE has bet its money on the Southern Transnational Council or the STC. Then, the Saudi-backed Yemen military began directly attacking the STC, managing to break up the group into factions. Then there is a long-standing thorn for the Muslim world: the Israel question. UAE aligns with Israel's right to exist under the Abraham Accords, long before Saudis backed channel talks. However, the Gaza war has changed the equations. Remember, Saudi positioned itself as the sole custodian of the Islamic world, housing its holiest sites. It has been a bone of contention between Shias and Sunnis and was a factor in the Iran war. Now, Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi Arabia have to deal with Muslim sensitivities, and while they cozy up to Americans, they can't openly knob-hop with the Israelis. Meanwhile, Pakistan has chosen its sides. They signed a strategic mutual defense agreement with Saudi Arabia, and Shahbaz Sharif and Asim Munir have made it clear they will toe Donald Trump's line no matter how far it goes. On the other hand, Narendra Modi's National Democratic Alliance government has carried the torch of Nehru's non-alignment. As nations took side during the Cold War, the Russia-Ukraine war or the US-Iran war, since its independence, New Delhi has avoided dipping its toes in varying waters for any party. So, when the bombs stopped dropping, India moved, and Modi and Al Nahyan started dealing.
India and the UAE have a 100 billion plus trade flow between the two. It's India's largest partner in the Gulf, and I think around 4-5 million Indians work in the UAE project. So there is a lot of stake from both economic and people perspective, and the fact that this is the only Gulf country where the Prime Minister is talking shows special bond between India and the UAE.
The two have secured an agreement on framework for the strategic defense partnership. Since it is an agreement on a framework, little is known, but one can assume it is similar to the one shared by Pakistan and Saudi. But beyond the headlines, there was a memorandum of understanding on strategic petroleum reserves and an agreement on supplies of liquefied petroleum gas. Why does this matter?
Because of the crisis happening in the Middle East and the blockade of Strait of Hormuz, India is facing severe headwinds when it comes to energy security, when it comes to trade, and especially when it comes to natural gas. So these are issues quite important for India, because India is a net importer of hydrocarbons. So it relies on this region in the Middle East for both oil and gas, and the disruptions have been significant. The Prime Minister has also announced a slew of requirements of the citizens. That he's asked people to be frugal, he's asked people to work from home, and so on and so forth. So there is definitely an undercurrent of a challenge due to the conflict happening in the Middle East. We've seen some of the things that they've already signed, which includes an LPG component to it. It includes a $5 billion investment push by the Emiratis into India, and it also pushes a strategic defense agreement, I think, which is a continuation of India's strategic partnership with the UAE.
And since His Excellency Prime Minister Modi has taken office, they have been regularly, your leadership and my leadership have been regularly seeing each other a few times a year. I think especially today, energy is compromised around the world because energy has also been weaponized by the Strait of Hormuz being taken hostage effectively, which is something the international community is also looking to address. By doing so, you're having many people all around the world, including in India, really struggle with basic household needs. That is something that will certainly feature in our conversations tomorrow. But more importantly, it's important to highlight that the UAE has always been and continues to be a responsible global player in the energy space, which also explains a little bit why the UAE decided to exit OPEC a couple of weeks ago. And really the primary reason for that would be we were not producing to the full potential of what we are able to, and particularly at this time when there is such challenges in supply, the UAE wants to be able to continue to play that responsible global partnership.